So one of the things that drives me nuts about bikes these days, I have to charge pretty much everything. Tail light, headlight, computer, shifting. There's just too many batteries, and remembering them all can be a pain in the butt. So I was pretty intrigued when Coros contacted me about their Dura bike computer, advertising a 120-hour battery life. 120 hours, that's like weeks of my normal riding, into months. And if you add on top of that 120 hours, solar panels, so that for every 1 hour of direct sunlight riding you do with it, you actually get 2 hours of additional battery. That's nuts. You can go for a bike ride and come back from the ride with more battery than when you left. I'm gonna be honest, it intrigued me for sure. Appreciate you joining me for this episode of Back of the Gravel Pack. I'm gonna be talking about the Coros Dura, which is that exact bike computer. It's being released as of today. Battery life 120 hours. It's got GPS, it's got ride tracking, it's got maps, it's got emergency SOS, all the things that a bike computer normally does. The difference is the battery on this thing lasts pretty much forever. I can't give you an in-depth review because I've only had this thing about a week, but I'm going to spend some time walking through the specs, the features, what this GPS offers. We're going to go through an unboxing. I'm going to talk about what I think could be particularly useful about the Coros Dura. Appreciate you joining me. Here we go. So let's start out with an unboxing and a few of the specs of the Coros Dura. It has a 2.7-inch MIP color touchscreen and has solar panels at the top of the screen. The screen has adaptive brightness backlight. The unit also has digital dial and back button on the side if you prefer those options to the touchscreen. The Dura uses a quarter-turn mount system, a lot like Garmin products. It comes with its own out-front mount, but works with any Garmin-compatible mount. As far as what the Dura can do, from what I can tell to date, it does everything a typical higher-end bike computer does these days. It has turn-by-turn navigation, smart rerouting that relies on Google Maps. You can search for points of interest and waypoints. It has an in-app route builder. They also have their own fitness platform, but you can also load your own workouts for on the bike. Coros does have third-party syncing with most popular bike apps like Strava, Komoot, Training Peaks, Ride with GPS, etc. And I believe that list of bike-specific compatible platforms will continue to grow over time. As far as connectivity, it offers Bluetooth, ANT+, and Wi-Fi connectivity, and will probably connect to all typical bike accessories like power meters, radar units, heart rate monitors, etc. Coros says that it will pair with most smart trainers, but I haven't had a chance to test that yet. Direct Zwift compatibility is not available yet, but it sounds like that may be coming down the road. They do advertise that it will pair with electronic shifting as well as most e-bikes. It does rely on the Coros app on your phone for much of its function. I'm still using a beta version of that app, so I can't provide a ton of feedback at this point. It is the same app as their watches, so you can integrate your Coros watch to get additional fitness and recovery information. Finally, the price for the Dura is $249. Here we go, first ride with the Dura. Let's see. Gravel. We're going to try a route. And here we go. To provide a little background on this computer, Coros did send me a Dura for review. This is an early version of the computer and the software and whatnot, so I'll give you just a little heads up on what to expect. You know, there's a number of bike computer companies out there. Coros, my understanding, is pretty big in the running market, running watches. It's kind of where their background is primarily. This is really their first bike. It's even their first bike computer. They have some sensors and whatnot. I got their heart rate monitor on as well, so seems like, talking to some ultra runner friends, well regarded in the ultra running world for their watches. They make a nice product, so, you know, early indication, maybe they could put something together pretty good for a bike computer. So the information they provided us about this bike computer, one of their main goals for the bike computer was to have a tremendously long battery life and a really simplistic platform, something you can just really leave on your bike in between rides. In fact, there are requests to folks reviewing these or to just charge it up, put it on your bike, and leave it for the length, the duration you review. See how long that battery lasts. Once you hook everything up through their app, you know, unlike some bike computers where you got to kind of wait for a while for them to get booted up and make sure the route's on there, I think the idea is just like hit a button and go, and you don't even turn it off when you're done. Just goes to sleep automatically after a certain amount of time, kind of thing. So you just leave it on your bike. And with the solar panels it has on there, it does provide the claimed value of those solar panels. For every hour of direct sunlight, you get 2 hours of use back into that battery. So if you're riding on a sunny day, you can actually do a complete ride and get back to the house with more battery power than you left. My intention is to spend a few months riding this thing and get back to you with a more long-term review on what I think of this Coros, because it's kind of hard, new computer, to really develop your thoughts within a few week period. Especially, I've been riding a Wahoo for ever now. They still have the same original one, so this is quite an upgrade for me from what I'm using on my own now. But I think it's probably pretty comparable to a lot of the features you see on Garmin's, and with the exception of this insane battery life. I'm certainly not going to get time to check the 120-hour claimed battery life before this video is released, so we'll see long-term how it lasts. But if they're anywhere near what they're proposing for battery life, it's insane, and also way more than anyone else out there on the market. So a couple of features I want to point out about this computer. One thing, it's a touchscreen computer, so touchscreen, you know, pretty straightforward. A lot of computers out there these days that have those features. It also has a dial that apparently is similar to the Coros watches, and so, you know, it's like a mechanical but electronic type thing, so you can use to scroll between screens and whatnot. So it has both of those things, and then it actually has a button on the side too. So, you know, if you're in a situation with rain or gloves or something where touchscreen isn't a great option, you can also go with the buttons on the side and the dial on the side. So jury's out a little bit on me on whether I like the idea of the dial, but I like it. It's different, and they're trying something different, and it seems like it works really well on the watch, so I get the idea there. So anyway, touchscreen so far seems really responsive and all the things you expect out of a touchscreen. I'm not a tech wizard here, I'm not a tech geek, but yeah, it does stuff when I touch it. How about that? But the dial also does stuff when you turn it, and then you push the button. The button, generally from what I've seen so far, looks to be like a back button, so it usually takes you back. And I'm gonna get out of here because the skeeters are getting thick with skeeters here. One thing I will say, you know when it's trying to tell you something. The beeping, the auditory signal, whew, like scares deer out of the forest. So you're gonna hear it. I believe there's some intention down the road to kind of have a volume control kind of thing. Not sure on that, but it's pretty loud. You can silence it, so you can turn off all the beeps, both when you push a button and also just, so I'm using navigation right now just to see how that works, and you can turn that off. But you know, as it is, it beeps at me when it's time to turn from going the wrong way, those kind of things. Initial impressions, it's doing bike computer stuff. Quiet. It does a lot of beeping at me. But, you know, part of the struggle switching to a different bike computer is getting all your screens set up how you like them. It also has this is the split screen mode, where you can see that it's got the map on the top and some numbers at the bottom. And even in split screen, there's, you know, a bunch of different fields you could show there. Okay, no split screen now, and you can see flipping between screens using the dial or the touch screen, which is pretty sick. I do like that. Pretty sure I'm going to turn that beeping off right away. So I loaded a route from Strava on here. Seemed to be pretty straightforward. So similar to pretty much all bike computers now, or most bike computers, I think. It does rely on an app on your phone. So it has like a crash detection, SOS, tracking, all those kind of things, rerouting, navigation, the kind of stuff that on the bike, you have to have your phone, obviously. I don't think there's an option for that otherwise. But, you know, if you're not using all that kind of bells and whistles, if you just want to go out for a ride, you know, load your route if you have a route, you can leave your phone at home and you should be good. And then when you get back, it'll need your phone to get it uploaded to, you know, become Strava famous. But otherwise, it seems to function pretty well, you know, on its own kind of thing. But it does seem like there's a lot of features there that I haven't tested out yet. As far as the SOS, you can form these things called, I think they call them groups or teams. So I assume everyone has to have a Dura, but if you're riding with 10 people, you all join this team, and then you can see where everyone is at. And so if you're on a group ride and you leave someone behind, or someone's lagging behind, you can kind of see where they're at and keep track of them, which seems like it's a pretty handy feature to have. So yeah, looking forward to being around some other folks that have it and test it out. But this is a huge leap in technology versus what I'm using now. But the solar, I mean, I know it's not that complicated or whatever, but still, that's sick, right? That's pretty sweet. So I like that. I like that a lot. The mounting system, I think they call it just like the normal quarter turn deal. It is set up like a Garmin version, and so that's just the orientation. I'm an idiot. There we go. The orientation is set up like a Garmin, so like the Wahoo's turned 90 degrees. Yeah, 90 degrees, I think, from the Garmin. Wahoo and Garmin are 90 degrees apart. Why can't we all just do the same exact thing? Why do you gotta do that to me? So that means I had to change all my mounts to fit this guy on there. But if you have a Garmin, literally it's plug and play. They provide you a mount, but I use a mount that has an accessory mount underneath for my GoPro. So I needed to use my own, so I went ahead and switched him, flipped him over. But like I said, it is not a difficult thing to change, and if you have a Garmin, you literally change nothing. You can use the same mount or the one they provide you. So you may be aware of this already if you're watching this video, but the thing that blows my mind about this computer, it is $249. That is insane. The price point of the computer and what their advertising has as far as battery, features, options, spec, that is nuts, right? Is that not like really cheap? I mean, I don't want to give them any ideas here, but I feel like they could charge a fair amount more and still be competitive. So I think Coros is probably pretty serious about becoming a player in the cycling industry. And so maybe that's an indication of that, is that they're going to come out strong with their first computer. And by all accounts so far, even with beta testing, you know, the platform and software and whatnot, it's not glitchy. They're waiting to add features as they're actually available and ready and functional. So it's not glitchy and always failing, which I've had issues with other platforms being that way. But everything seems to work, even in beta testing mode, software mode, everything seems to work, which is nice, especially because, you know, there's no YouTube video for me to watch or anything like that to show me how to work this. So because it's new, that information just isn't out there yet. So it's nice to know that it's actually going to function easily and straightforward, and so that I can tell you about those features and how they function and how they work. So one other thing I did want to mention is they also sent me one of their heart rate straps, which is this guy right here. And it's the same idea, you know, similar to the thing, chest strap you have like for Garmin or Wahoo, but you just wear it on your arm. And I thought I'd try it out as well. And I'm going to be honest, like when I put it on out of the box, I'm like, not going to be wanting to wear that thing on my arm. I don't even notice it. I actually thought I dropped it. The chest strap, at times does bug me, and so I'm gonna use this a bunch in the next couple weeks, and I don't know, maybe that'll be my new go-to heart rate monitor, heart rate strap. So it is Bluetooth, if I remember correctly. It is not Ant Plus, it is Bluetooth. So that only works with some devices, so just a heads up, but it works. The Coros does both Bluetooth and Ant Plus. That's not an issue. You can pair it with, right now I have this thing paired, and I'm an idiot, remember that. I have it paired with my power meter, cadence meter, obviously the heart rate. What else? The shifting. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with my shifting in here, but it's paired, it's in there. I don't really know what happens with it, but it'll also work with radar and all those kind of deals that'll let you know when cars are coming up behind. So like the normal features, I guess here's what I'm saying. So far it looks to me like any of the features you might expect from any other bike computer, they're in here. It just takes those things, it adds that battery life, it adds the idea of you just leave it on your bike, the simplicity thing. You handle stuff with your phone, so you don't have to turn it on and wait 30 seconds for it to get jump started at the beginning of the day. At the end, you don't have to wait, make sure it uploads, turn it off. You just kind of leave it because of the battery life and the way the function of the application and the software. Just kind of leave it on your bike. You don't have to turn it off when you're done. So, you know, if this thing proves reliable and consistent, like it's gonna be a major player in the cycling industry for sure, because the simplicity and the way this thing works. And 120 freaking hours, folks. 120 hour battery life is nuts. So far, I'm impressed. I guess the take home, the question is this Dura for me, or is it for you? You know, who are the people that would benefit most from it? The first thing I say, the obvious thing with the battery life, is the ultra cycling, long distance, you know, overnight, multiple night bikepacking of any variety. I mean, that's the obvious answer, right? If you're on a multi-day trip, an overnight trip, I mean, this does away with the need for that extra battery pack just to charge your bike computer that a lot of them need. Shoot, some folks can't even make it through Unbound 200 on their bike computer battery without having to give it a charge. So anyone that's worried about battery power, number one, this is your deal. Number two, if you like want more features, so I think there's probably cheaper bike computers out there, but if you're trying to save money but also add some features, you know, solar, navigation, rerouting, SOS, a lot of the things, the color display, touch screen, usually that takes you a little more money to get into on the bike computer. So those are the kind of things you'd like to have. Then Dura, probably a pretty good choice for you. So my plan is to ride this thing for a little while, put it through its paces, and see what I really think. Does it hold up? Is it reliable? How's the battery life? How do the functions work? Can I get all the screens set up like I want them to? And then come back with a longer term review to let you know what I think. But today is release day of the computer, so I just wanted to get some information out there for y'all, you know, based on the feature spec, price, all those kind of things. If you're in the market for a bike computer, seems like this should be something you think about. Zoom, finish. Yeah, that makes sense. Hold it for 3 seconds. Pretty sick stats. 9 miles. Listen. All right. Look, I was just testing out the computer, right? This isn't a real ride. So that's what I can tell you about the Dura as of now after 1 week. I'm impressed with the price point, impressed with the battery life. Function seems to be pretty darn good, you know, over 3 or 4 rides, nothing too serious. I'm gonna spend the next month or two keep running this thing through the trials as much as I can, and I'll come back with a more full in-depth review later on. But for the time being, I appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time.
Liberates me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy. I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your presence.